Hi, welcome back to our music store. I haven't seen you in quite a while, have I? Well, did you like the last albums I gave you to check out? Oh, good. Really glad to hear that. I got a couple new albums I want to show you today, if that's alright with you. Great. Today, I wanted to share with you my favorite albums to come out this year so far. And I've picked 3 to show you. The first one. This is Noctourniquet by the Mars Volta. Came out in March. And, I really like the album cover. And the packaging on this vinyl is great. I actually just got this in the mail today. I'll show you the vinyls. If they'll come out, that is. Okay. Well, first of all, the sleeves are actually 3D, and it comes with 3D glasses, so you can actually see the images pop out of you. And the vinyl itself is beautiful. This is yellowish orange, and the center label, as you can see, is a diamond or square depending on how you hold it. But I thought that was very cool. And the second is a nice marbled blue. I'm a big fan of colored vinyl. I think it's beautiful. I know that there's some audiophiles out there who think that it interferes with the quality, but personally I've had no experience with that, so I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not. But it looks very cool. The other thing included, as I mentioned, are the 3D glasses. Yeah, they're the old school ones, not like the kind you get when you go to a movie today. It's pretty neat. I think so, at least. Put these back in before they get damaged though. So, I should probably tell you a little bit about the album. Noctourniquet is a drastic departure from everything the band has done before it. Although, it shouldn't be too shocking to fans. Mars Volta have gone through quite a few changes throughout their career. The Louse in the Comatorium was known for its chaotic energy, often going in many directions at once. Francis the Mute brought the same wacky compositions, but spaced it out with the extended ambient sections that usually bookmark the songs. Amptecture was half slow songs and half ridiculously high energy, making for an interesting combination, but personally I felt that it had some flow issues. And then after that was Bedlam and Goliath, which was probably their most chaotic and hectic album. Very frantic, and went full force for over 70 minutes and gave the listener very few chances to collect themselves in between songs. And then the last album before this one was Octahedron, which was released in 2009, and that was a pretty drastic change from Bedlam and Goliath, because it's what the band called their acoustic album, although it wasn't really acoustic, it was just more drawn back and straightforward. Shorter songs and less indulgent, I guess you could say. And now we have Noctourniquet, and as I said earlier, this was released in March. The album is swimming in synthesizers. Almost all of the songs feature prominent synth lines, and it gives you a very different feel from anything else in their catalog. I would almost describe it as space Volta. There are times when I'm listening to it where I feel like I could be in space. It's just very atmospheric. It feels out of this world. According to interviews with Cedric, the lead singer and lyricist, Noctourniquet is based on a loose concept, and I don't really hear it too much when I listen to the songs, but I also haven't paid too much attention to the lyrics. I can tell you a little bit about some of my favorite songs on the album if you want. Sure, I don't mind. I love talking about music. Noctourniquet gets off to a great start with the opener, The Whip Band, featuring heavy synthesizers and heavy guitars, with Cedric yelling over a driving drum rhythm, "I am a landmine, I am a landmine, so don't just step on me." It's very bizarre lyrics, but the delivery is flawless. The second track on the album is Aegis, which seems to be a fan favorite so far. Cedric's vocals on this one are great, especially on the chorus where he just soars. The Malcolm jewel is in fact the jewel of the album for me. When I first heard the single last summer when it was released, I was blown away. I hadn't heard anything like it before, and I wasn't expecting anything like it either. Cedric's vocals are so creepy and eerie, and he sings in a much lower range than he usually does, giving it a very dark feel. The drums are all over the place, and Omar's guitar is very dissonant. And the final chorus is easily one of the coolest moments on the album. The Pachka follows that, and it's probably my second favorite song on the album. The drums in this track are just mind-blowing. I find myself trying to tap along to it, and I just can't even come close. It's so fluid in motion, and for some reason I always get a mental image of a bumblebee flying when I listen to it. I don't know why, but I guess I'm just a little bit strange. I admit that. After that is In Absentia, and no, it has nothing to do with the Porcupine Tree album of the same name. The first half of the song is very strange. The instruments and vocals are so processed that it creates a very strange soundscape. The last half of the song is one of the better moments on the album, featuring very spacious instruments and epic vocals. The best word I can use to describe the song, along with many other tracks on the album, is ethereal, or ethereal. Not really sure how that word is pronounced, but I think you know what I mean. Finally, the last song I want to talk about on this album is the title track, Noctourniquet, and the airy atmospheric synthesizer opening with the syncopated drums is really cool. I love the chorus too a lot, with Cedric reaching his higher range singing, "Do you think I'd fold?" And, all in all, I think Noctourniquet is a very solid album. It might not be as consistent as D. Laus and the Comatorium, or as energetic as Bedlam and Goliath, but it offers a lot of interesting ideas and experiments that are sure to please most music fans. The Mars Volta were never afraid to push the limits in music. Putting out the same album year after year might please some of the fans, but it doesn't really let the band evolve, and I think they certainly evolved here. It isn't so drastically different that fans wouldn't recognize it, but it isn't really comparable to anything they've done before. It's just something you're gonna have to experience yourself to see if you like, I guess. I have to say that I find the first half of the album to be much stronger than the second. Imago, Vetemilady, and Trinket's Pale Moon, while good songs in their own right, just seem to be a bit of a drop in energy compared to the first half of the album. The MVPs on this album are Cedric and D'Anthony Parks, the drummer. Cedric took a pretty different approach for the vocals on this album, and I think he nailed them. The vocal melodies and phrasing are very odd, as usual, but they always somehow work. I haven't paid too much attention to the lyrics though, and aside from a few key phrases that stick out in the song, I couldn't really name you any of the lyrics. And D'Anthony did a great job with the drumming on this album. It's always fresh and interesting on each track. It never feels too overwhelming and fits in perfectly. And I believe he played on Kimbra's new American release of Vows too, which recently came out, so that's something else to check out. And if you aren't a vinyl listener, we have the CD too, so we got you covered. Okay. Now, how about the next album? Great. This here is Storm Corrosion. Storm Corrosion is the debut album from Michael Ackerfeld and Steven Wilson under a project of the same name. Michael is from the progressive death metal band Opeth, and Steven Wilson is from the progressive rock group Porcupine Tree. Around the formation of the group, there were rumors that Dream Theater drummer Mike Portnoy would be making an appearance, but it didn't happen, and personally, I think it's for the better. The album has very little drumming. Any drumming that is on it is handled by Gavin Harrison, also from Porcupine Tree. This album is very hard to describe. I've listened to it probably at least 10 times now, and it's still really hard for me to categorize it. It's unlike anything that either party had recorded before. It features lush orchestration of vocal harmonies and a lot of acoustic and clean guitar. Michael sings on the first and last songs while Steven handles the rest of the vocals. All in all, the album is very ambient, spacey, and atmospheric. Wikipedia lists it as psychedelic folk music, which I guess is kind of accurate in a way. It's pretty down-tempo, acoustic-driven, and definitely a bit psychedelic in spots. And before I get into the tracks, I just want to talk about the artwork for a minute. This artwork was originally done, I don't remember the artist's name, but it was made in the 1970s, and Michael and Steven came across it, and they thought it'd be a great album cover, and I agree with them. I think it's a very interesting album art. I love the colors too, very almost demonic in a way. It kind of represents the album perfectly. It's very strange and a little bit evil sounding in spots. We have a picture of Michael and Steven, liner notes. can tell you a little bit about the songs. Drag Ropes was the first song released from the album, and it's also the opening track. It opens with Michael Ackerfeld singing over very eerie, sparse music. The track features beautiful midsection with harmonies from Michael and Steven, along with a chorus, or a choir actually rather, and it stands as one of my favorite moments on the album. After that, it breaks into a very proggy riff, and this track alone will give you a pretty good idea of what the rest of the album is like. The second track, which is the self-titled track, Storm Corrosion, features a bit of a lightly galloping acoustic guitar part by Michael, as Steven softly sings over it, leading into beautiful vocal melodies after that. And then it goes into an abstract noise section that's followed by very beautiful acoustic guitar and piano-led sequence. The woodwinds on this track are terrific. It lends itself to a very enchanting atmosphere. The third track, Hag, starts off with a very dark, spacey piano as Steven lightly sings over it. As the song develops, more layers of instruments are added. It actually develops a bit of a groove thanks to the bass line. The song also features probably the most metal moment on the album, with lots of distorted guitars and processed drums in one section. Happy is my least favorite song, at this moment at least. It's still very good, no doubt. It's just a bit more straightforward acoustic song, at least in terms of everything else on the album. It's also the shortest track on the album, coming in a little under 5 minutes. It's still wonderful though, and has great vocal melodies. Locale is the instrumental track, and it's probably the most upbeat tune on the album that is otherwise quite mellow. I don't want to give you the wrong idea though, because it isn't really an upbeat song, but it's still a welcome deviation from the general feel of the album, even if it's just a slight one. It's all instrumental and features an awesome clapping section, which seems to find a way into most Steve Wilson songs and projects. And finally we have Lucia Anon, and I hope I pronounced that right. Michael opens the song with some absolutely angelic singing, and I have to say this is probably the best vocal performance I've heard from him ever. I didn't even know he was capable of singing that beautifully, with no disrespect meant towards him. It's also the longest song on the album, coming in at 10 minutes and 20 seconds, but it's also probably the most chill. This one isn't very weird, and it's just very relaxed and ambient. It reminds me a bit of Like Dust I've Cleared From My Eye on Steve Wilson's Grace for Drowning album, which came out last year. And the guitar in the last 2 minutes is a great way to close the album. After listening to this album for over 10 times in the past week and a half, I still haven't fully digested it. When I first heard about the project, I was actually expecting something even weirder than this. Nevertheless, this album is pretty weird. And I mean that in a good way, because I love weird music. But it's definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I suggest fans of Opeth and Porcupine Tree check it out, but I warn you that you have to go into it not expecting output similar to either of those bands. If you go in with an open mind and you enjoy spacey atmospheric music, you'll probably enjoy it. And I do have one more album I want to show you. Oh, and of course, I also have that on CD and 5.1, if you're so interested. Okay, the final album is Weather Systems by Anathema. Weather Systems starts off with Untouchable, a song that's split into two separate tracks. Beautiful guitar on this song, and it sets the tone for what you can expect for the next 55 minutes. It slowly adds more and more power until you reach a soaring climax. Part 2 is a bit of a drop in energy, becoming very sad and introspective. It's a duet between Vincent and Lee, featuring a reprise of the end of Part 1. The third song is The Gathering of the Clouds, which is a personal favorite of mine. The focus of the song is the absolutely gorgeous vocal harmonies. It features an allusion going back to their last album, We're Here Because We're Here. Very powerful. Lightning Song follows that, and sung solely by the talented Lee Douglas. Her voice soars over the beautiful music that accompanies it. And one of my favorite lyrics on the album is from that song, and it is, "For this world is wonderful, so beautiful. If only you could open up your mind and see, your world is everything you ever dreamed of. If only you could open up your mind and see the beauty that is here." Sunlight is the weakest track on the album for me, but if I had to give it a score out of 10, it would still receive a 9. It's the only song on the album that features vocals from the guitarist and songwriter Daniel. Lee and Vincent come in with supporting harmonies on the blazing outro of the song, however. And then we have the centerpiece of the album, which is The Storm Before the Calm, and that clocks in at 9 minutes and 23 seconds. It starts with the sounds of rain into a large swell, with acoustic guitar, deep bass, and spacey echoed vocals. When the chorus kicks in, there is an amazing synth pad that marks one of the most epic moments on the album. The vocal delivery is so cold and almost apathetic, which fits perfectly with the lyrics. It's getting colder, I'm getting colder, it's getting colder, let it get colder until I can't feel anything at all. The midsection builds up into layers and layers of sound, signaling the chaos that is the storm, with the brilliant rhythmic drums driving it along. And then the calm. Sparse, clean electric guitar kicks off the second half of the song, as Vincent and Lee come in with the light, airy ooze, and the rest of the instruments return. Vincent's vocals are immensely powerful, as the strings and the guitar create what I can only describe as musical heaven. That's definitely one of my favorite tracks, and I recommend it to anyone, but I'm pretty sure you'd love it if you listen to it. The beginning and the end is the 7th track on Weather Systems. Daniel's guitar solos are always just so soulful and straight to the point. Anathema don't throw guitar solos in every song just for the sake of having one, so when they do appear, they feel even more powerful, more soulful, more epic, and they're always so tasteful. And then we have The Lost Child, which has my favorite lyrics from any song, and I'd love to read them to you. According to an interview, it was inspired by a dream and is about falling through the ice. Before I read the lyrics, it was probably my least favorite on the album, but as soon as I read them, it completely changed the way I look at the song. And I'll read them to you now. Adrift on a silent sea, the cold night surrounds me, black ice forms beneath. The waves of a childhood dream, a firelight hypnotized, voice calls from paradise, paradise to here. My light is fading now, my heart is breaking now, my light is fading now. My heart is breaking now. A child sings to me. The mists rise, blinding me. I can't find a way out of here. And the sound of angel dreams. The stars fall into the sea. The ice breaks. I'm pulled beneath the waves. My life is fading now. My heart is breaking now. My life is failing now. My mind is drowning now. But your hand reaches down, to reach down and pull me out and save me. And the ending of that is easily one of the most powerful, beautiful things I've ever heard. The first time I read along to the lyrics, I had goosebumps all over my body. It's just an incredibly powerful song, and every time I hear it, I'm almost moved to tears. And finally, the last song is Internal Landscapes, which harks back to the musical and lyrical styles of their previous album. It opens with a sample of Joe Geraci talking about his experience with dying, which is truly moving. The song is very atmospheric and beautiful, dealing with the loss of someone you love, but being at peace with it, knowing that everything is connected, and we are all one. The keys make you feel like you're floating above the earth, witnessing the beauty that is always around us, even if we sometimes overlook it. Weather System is a very sad, very depressing album, but there's always a glimpse of hope, of happiness buried beneath it. It's truly a beautiful record, uplifting in its own melancholy way. Almost all the songs follow a formula, each building up into something epic. The formula doesn't change much, but it doesn't need to because it simply works. Everything about the album is perfect, from the lyrics to the vocals, the composition, and the instrumentation. It's all perfect. And those were my top 3 albums of the year so far. I think you'd love all of them, but is there anyone in particular that you want to check out? Weather Systems? Okay, that's great. I think that's, at the moment, my album of the year. I think it's just a great album. Is there anything else I can help you with today? No? Okay. Well, here you go. I really hope you enjoy that album. I think you'll love it. Let me know what you think next time you come by again. And I'm sure I'll have some more recommendations for you then. Alright. Thank you for stopping by. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.